Yoo-hoo, Raymond. Ready to film a podcast. Coffee. Fresh coffee. Raymond never leaves his coffee unattended. Raymond, podcast time. Yeah. Is that makeup? It's not cherry flavored.
What was this?
It's Suicide Squad. I mean, it's not the best movie, and a lot of people hated it. And there's some good things about it. It's got the Flash in it. That's pretty cool. And the Joker, well, he's not that bad.
Oh, get the camera around. We're gonna argue on a podcast.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow.
It's a real good podcast, yeah.
Woo! Hi, I'm Austin James.
I'm Raymond Morris, and welcome to a very special Halloween edition of the Real Good Podcast. As you can see on the video, and if you're listening to us, I'm about to describe for you, I am in my DC comic book loving lumberjack costume slash 90s DC fan, complete with flannel and Friends graphic Suicide Squad shirt. And you are not wearing a costume.
Nope.
Wow. Okay, well, Jack Skellington's going to get you. On today's episode, we're going to do a few different things, biggest of which being the Suicide Squad redo, how we would redo that film that was not really divisive, mostly hated. So we're going to talk about how we would save that film. But first, there's been a few things that have dropped this past week in the world of comic book movie news that we kind of want to talk about real fast with a rapid fire. Yeah! Yeah. So, first bit of news. Yeah, I've had a lot of coffee just recently. So, yeah. So first bit of news: Thor Ragnarok. Yes, we could talk about Disney's Marvel films. Thor Ragnarok has been opened internationally. Mm-hmm. Reviews have been coming out. Comes out this upcoming Friday. For us, we have not watched it yet, but it is currently sitting at a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. When it first came out, 100%. You read that right, boys and girls. 100%. Now 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Wow. So I guess, Austin, my question for you, what do you take of this news? Do you think it can live up to the 96%? Are you going to go watch it? Etc.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely seeing it this weekend. And I'm excited for it. I've seen the other ones. I didn't see the first one in theaters, but I saw the second one in theaters. Seen both of them. But I think it could live up to it. The only thing that I'm kind of skeptical about is, like, if you paid attention to, like, the superhero movies that came out this year, like, usually they get pretty good reviews. But, like, with the exception of Power Rangers, it's just kind of like an offshoot of itself anyways. But as far as like the main, like the Marvel DC, all of them have had like super high ratings within their first weekends on Rotten Tomatoes. So Guardians 2,
That's true.
Not Amazing Spider-Man, but Spider-Man Homecoming had really good reviews. Logan was, getting Oscar buzz in March. And Wonder Woman, of course, was taking the world by storm. So it just kind of seems like it's following the pattern of 2017 and opening weekend comic book movies. But I think being November, it's going to have a great opening weekend here in the U.S. Mostly because like it's weird because now that we get so many comic book movies, it's almost kind of put us as like kind of almost like we need to like relapse back into them. And since it's been like since July, 4 months since we've had a comic book movie come out, which now seems like years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people were like really excited, and because I feel like it's just been a lot of Pennywise and evil dolls and evil.
Look, Dancing
Days.
Pennywise is one of the greatest things that has been blessed to us human beings this year.
I have yet to see it. Have you
Well,
seen it?
I have not been able to see that yet because nobody wants to freaking go and watch it with me.
I know.
Sidebar,
Same
come on, people, it's a great film. Go watch it. I don't care if it's scary. Cover your eyes. I have this strong and fast no go to the theater by myself thing.
Yeah.
I've broken it a couple of times, and both times it has not really lived up to the hype. For what I broke it for. So, personally, all right, listen, I went and saw the first Thor in theaters. And I went and saw it with my little brother because we were watching all of those Marvel Cinematic Universe movies together, the Phase 1. We went and watched all of them in theaters except for the Avengers, fun fact. But yeah, I know, right? Anyway, we left Thor, and I remember looking at him and going, well, that was a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That is a movie.
You actually made me not want to see it.
Yeah, I did not like it. I think it was just a bunch of... It could have been summed up in 5 minutes at the beginning of the Avengers. It was obviously just there to show us the event, to get us ready for the Avengers, and that was it. Thor 2, The Dark World came out, and I didn't think it could get worse than Thor, and it did. So, personally, I look and see that Thor Ragnarok, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. My first thought is... These other movies have been so bad. They were expecting something so bad in such a heaping pile of garbage that when they saw it, they were like, wow, this wasn't that. So 100%. However, Taika Waititi, I'm sorry, dude, if I just butchered your name, who helped with Flight of the Conchords. He was one of the best parts of that Green Lantern movie. He was the friend of Hal Jordan
really?
in that movie. Yeah, he's the guy. So thankfully that movie bombed, and so he took over more directorial stuff because then he also helped with Hunt for the Wilder People, came out last year. If you have not watched that movie, go and watch it. Sam Neill not chasing dinosaurs
Or running away from
them. He does a great job. It's a funny movie, heart-wrenching movie. And so when he came on with this, and it looks like they're taking a completely different angle, I'm going to give it a chance. And pray that it's Taika's movie and it's not a Marvel movie. Because if it's just another one of these promises to be amazing and ends up not being amazing, but just another cookie cutter thing. Like, I love the genre bending stuff that they've attempted so far. And when it works really, really well. Like Captain America... The Winter Soldier is the spy, is like the 70s spy movie.
Yeah.
That works really, really well. And it's one of my favorites. So I'm hoping that this is just a knockdown, drag out, good fun time. But that it's funny, but it's not just a bunch of the self-aware humor that you get in every single Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But as long as it's Taika Waititi humor, let's go with that. Flight of Conchords type of stuff, that would be really fun.
Yeah, like kind of a different...
Yeah. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to give it a chance. My roommate loves Thor. We once, after watching, I forget which superhero movie it was, we discussed why Thor is the worst for 30 minutes
I actually don't
in the
hate it as
parking
much as
lot.
you do.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely hate it. But I'm giving the third Thor a chance. So be ready to hear what we think about that. Second thing, real quick, before we get into the Suicide Squad, a couple bits of music have actually dropped this past week. So for those of you who have not been following along with this, with Justice League, Junkie XL, who is known for helping Hans Zimmer in the first two DC Cinematic Universe millennial non-label films, and Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. He was credited in Batman v Superman, but I actually learned the other day he helped with Man of Steel. And he's also known for doing the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack, which is phenomenal. It's great. Spiky Cars is what I wake up to every single morning. It's just great. Flame-throwing guitars and everything. So Junkie XL was the original guy on this, and he stepped down. He was kind of asked to leave or step down, whichever it was, we don't know. And Danny Elfman came on around the same time that Joss Whedon was announced to have come on and do some of the reshoots and things in stepping in for Zack Snyder because of the personal tragedy that happened with his family. And so, which is interesting because Danny Elfman did Age of Ultron. Okay. Right? Yeah. I think it was Age of Ultron or the first event. No, it was Age of Ultron. And then he is also known for doing the Spider-Man. Yeah. He is also known for doing Batman and Batman Returns. That very iconic Batman the Animated Series score is based off of his score. And so now he's back in the Warner Brothers fold doing Justice League. And so they released the Heroes theme and also Friend and Foe. 2 different tracks have been released. I think one of them was official and the other one wasn't. The other one just ended up out there somehow. Yeah. The Friend and Foe one. Yeah. So you got a chance to listen to both. I got a chance to listen to both. If you haven't had a chance to listen to them, go on ahead and look it up. The Heroes theme is on Spotify, and you're gonna have to search high and low for Friend and Foe. But it's awesome. So, what'd you think? Is it good? Is it bad? Does it get you more excited?
It does.
Juice for Justice League?
The one thing I think we've really talked about in the DC movies, the one thing I think they've really hit a home run in all of their movies is in the music department. Suicide Squad, not so much in the score. I don't really remember any of the scores, but it had really good stuff in the soundtrack, really good classic rock songs and stuff like that. So again, they're keeping the momentum going of good music, and I was actually kind of impressed because I think Junkie XL was originally working on this all, like you were just saying. Yeah.
He was going, and then he stepped down.
So to be able to turn it around and come out with something that quick is pretty impressive, which speaks to the greater measure of like how fast those guys can just come out and compose stuff like that, you know. Because I feel like Hans Zimmer's probably, you know, there's so many things we don't even think about, video games and stuff these guys score for. Yeah. So again, it sounds like it's another epic one. I don't want to tell them the spoiler of what's in Friend or Foe.
Oh, but we have to. I don't know if this is spoiler territory because Danny Elfman came out and talked about it. Okay. So, we'll warn you here. Pause it for the next 2 minutes, or mute us for the next 2 minutes, and because we're going to talk about something. It's not really spoiler because they came out and talked about it already. But you've been warned, so for the next 2 or 3 minutes, we'll just tune back in then. But yes, so on Friend and Foe, Danny Elfman said that he found a way to incorporate the John Williams Superman score. You know, the dun 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 dun.
Familiar.
And so Friend and Foe incorporates that into it in a dark way. And then in also a triumphant way. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you. I was juiced. Yeah, it is. Sweet. Oh my goodness! Yeah. The way he works that in, it's triumphant. It's fresh. It's you remember what it is.
Oh yeah.
But it's interesting because you get notes. Okay. So come back in. It's interesting because you get notes of like the Batman 1989 classic Danny Elfman stuff in that Friend and Foe one. Yeah. And I just wanted to comment on the Heroes song, and then we'll get into Suicide Squad here. On the Heroes song, I'm not going to lie, at first I thought it was lame. Like, it's slow moving, slow building. Mm-hmm. And then when it hits, it starts hitting hard. And you're like, yeah, this is Justice League. Mm-hmm. And it sounds a little bit like the Justice League animated series theme. Yeah. And so I was just envisioning these live action heroes coming out to that. Mm-hmm. So it's really good. Check that out. But that's it for the rapid fire.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. So today we are tackling a redo of the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad for hair and makeup, not for plot.
Actually, hold on. I have to use the restroom real quick. This could be a longer one. But I have somebody that can take my spot.
Somebody can take your spot.
Yeah.
Dude, just come on, let's go, man.
Okay.
We gotta get going here.
I'm out. I'm
Okay,
good.
see ya.
How's it going, man? I'm the Flash. I'm here to talk about what were we talking about?
Suicide Squad, man.
Suicide Squad. Love that movie. Love it. Love it. I bet you can't guess what my favorite part is. What's my favorite part? Tell me what my favorite part is. That's the part that I'm in. I'm in the movie. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. Actually, it's not a spoiler alert because you shouldn't watch the movie except for the part that I'm in, The Flash.
So is that an actual Flash costume or is that just when you got to Party City?
No, I am the actual Flash. Did you not see me come in and out?
Yeah.
Really, really fast.
Wow. Okay, that's happening.
Yes.
You are married.
Yes.
You okay?
To Iris West. That's
so,
my wife.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have so many questions. Anyway.
So do I. What happened to my father? How can I go faster? These are the questions I ask myself every day.
Barry, run! Run, Barry, run!
That's always the answer.
Yeah, exactly, right? We just covered 4 seasons of The Flash. Anyway.
3 episodes and 4 seasons.
That's 4 entire seasons right there. So we're talking about Suicide Squad. We are redoing it. I can't take you seriously with that. For those of you who are listening, we have a man here dressed completely as the Flash. But we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad.
I didn't know that's bad. I fight a talking gorilla that only.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay, bye. Okay. So you coming back or no?
I'll just be regular the rest of the time.
Oh my gosh. He's going to be regular the rest of the time. So, okay.
Okay. Actually,
Might as well just leave that on. Okay.
Okay, so I'm back from the
So
bathroom.
we're back. So we're talking about Suicide Squad this week. Yeah. And where we're going to do this is we're going to talk about a couple of things we liked about it, a couple of things we didn't like about it, and how we are going to change this. Now, just to lay down the ground rules once again, you can only change one casting decision. You can't recast everybody. And I'm interested to see if you're going to recast the person that everybody would recast. And what happens by the end of the universe by the end of the film, universe-wise, needs to stay the same. With this movie, that doesn't really apply that much because it's pretty much a self-contained movie, except for the post-credits scene. So, Suicide Squad. This one is one that happened, right? Yeah. Let's find some things that are good about this movie. What did you enjoy about Suicide Squad? Besides the obvious answer of the Flash cameo.
It is all right. But
right. Okay.
But anyways, what I really liked, I liked the casting of the Suicide Squad themselves. Now, full disclosure, I know a lot about. I feel like I know a general amount about comics. I know a lot about the comic book movies. So as far as the character of Deathstroke, Deadshot.
Not Deathstroke.
He will be in the future. But
maybe.
Deadshot. So
possibly.
I know that he shoots and he's very accurate, and that his name is Floyd Lawton. That's all I know.
He shoots, he scores.
So the fact that you have Will Smith playing that character, huge. That's a good idea. Because I feel like you have a character that, again, I sometimes have trouble remembering his name, and I've seen the movie 5 times. So I know who he is, but I think that going out there and getting an A-lister like Will Smith that has his own personality, and you give him the same abilities as Deadshot, good idea. If you didn't like that idea, that's your own thing. But just on my take, I like that. But as far as a character completely going out there and being on the level of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and so forth and so on, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, fantastic.
Interesting.
The voice, the acting is just complete. I thought she knocked it out of the park. The fact that she can say puddin' and not make it sound completely corny
some people found
impressive.
her quite vexing.
Really?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, and that could be your own opinion on it, but I feel like that's how Harley Quinn is. Like, she isn't a character that's normal. So like, I feel like she's supposed to be annoying. Like that's why she's not best friends with Batman. Yeah. Well, now she's best friends with Batman. That's because they're in the New 52 stuff. That's all interesting.
Anyway,
but so those are the two things I liked. But beyond those two, I thought Diablo was a great character. I really liked him. With the guy that played the shortstop on the rookie. On
is that who that was?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Fun fact. Don't know his name. We can look it up. Or
He's the rookie shortstop.
Yeah, he's the rookie shortstop. And he was in Friday Night Lights. He was in that movie. Yeah. So I thought actually he was the strongest of all the characters in the movie. So those are my positives. I like those casting choices.
So just talking about the casting choices, with Will Smith, I remember hearing when he was cast, I was really concerned that it was going to be Will Smith doing Will Smith things, coming in, saying the title of the movie, and being the Fresh Prince of insert location of film here. But it did seem as though he did a good job of toning down the Will Smith a little bit. So you at least had a little bit of, I don't like him because he's a villain.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. At least a smidgen of it. I'm with you on Harley Quinn. I think that was good. And just along those lines, I think one of the things this movie did a really good job of was introducing a bunch of characters and making us we knew enough about the characters.
Yeah.
Now, the way they went about that sometimes I'm not as big a fan of, and we'll get into that with the cons. But just from the storytelling standpoint, that we got to know enough about these characters to care enough about them. The Diablo character was so well developed, and they hid his backstory for long enough, and the way they revealed that in that bar scene is just so cool. I loved him. And then Jai Courtney as Captain Boomerang. Who thought? I was looking for Captain Boomerang t-shirts, and you still can't find them. But still, you could find 2 or 3. Who knew we would be able to do that after that movie? Yeah. He was such a lovable character. Killer Croc was great, I thought, as well. And so, they did a good job of introducing a bunch of people who haven't had their own solo movies and gave us enough information that we didn't feel like we were in the dark with them. And so that's something I think that we will see repeated then in Justice League as well. Yeah. Hopefully, and this is where I'll kind of start with the cons here. Hopefully not getting those title sequences where every single thing about the person is on the screen. Some people love that. I hated it. I didn't really like them at all. Yeah. If you're going to introduce it differently, man. There were 5 introductions to the movie, and then we get an introduction to every single stinking character. Yeah. And the editing in this movie was choppy. It was like it was as though the Joker came in to this movie and was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm gonna hurt you really, really bad." And then he just blew up the movie and pieced it together and taped it, and that's what Suicide Squad ended up being. Yeah. It was butchered, and it's just choppy, and I just don't understand how that you can let that happen. David Ayer had a good movie in there. I'm convinced. And then all of a sudden, it just got chopped to smithereens and cycled around, and Deadshot got an opening, and then there was the Harley Quinn opening, and then the Amanda Waller opening, along with the Rolling Stones song. And it's just like, what in the world is going on here? Yeah. Oh my word. And don't even get me started on Jared Leto's Joker. I'm not even going to talk about him. Actually, full disclosure, I didn't think we saw enough of him to actually have a love him, hate him relationship. Some people hate him, and I understand. But anyway, that was my biggest issue, was just like the editing in this movie was horrid. Terrible. They chopped this film to smithereens, and I wonder what David Ayer's actual dark, gritty cut of this movie was. What about you? What were some issues that you saw with this?
Kind of the same ones you mentioned, the editing and everything. I think, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's almost something for me. I mean, because you're more of a film critique than I am, so you understand it. But it's something like when you're eating restaurant at a good food, like when you're eating good food at a nice restaurant or whatever. Like you just know it tastes good. Like you just know it's good. But when you eat something at cheap $1 burger from McDonald's, you just know there's something that's not right with it. Yeah. So it's just something just isn't there, and I can't figure out what it is. I mean, the cast is there, the editing is sloppy, but it's just there's just something missing. There's this. I guess maybe that's what it is. I think there's nothing that, I guess, like, kind of diverts it from other things we've seen. Like, it's different as far as comic book movie, as far as superhero movies goes. It doesn't feel like Man of Steel or Batman.
They got a really interesting opportunity to take the Dirty Dozen, make the Dirty Dozen for superhero movies.
Yeah.
They had an awesome opportunity to do that. And I think they squandered the opportunity. They really, really did. And I didn't realize it until after watching it again. In the theater, I remember kind of defending it a little bit, but then I watched it on DVD like 3 or 4 months ago, and I was like, I can't watch this. I can't watch this anymore because it is so choppy and it feels like it was pieced back together at random.
Yeah, and it's very odd.
And it's rushed.
Yeah.
That's another thing I would describe this movie. It's very rushed at times, where we need to put the team together and go.
Yeah.
And so those are some issues that we saw. But any other comments on that front? Let's jump into this redo. Because I think your idea of how you would remake this movie is different from mine.
Yeah.
Because I remember one of your big issues from this movie had to do with who they went up against, right? Like the battle boss of it. So I'll let you, well, since I've kind of introduced it here, give me 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes. Pitch your idea of Suicide Squad. How are you going to save it, story-wise and everything? Go.
So I guess I'll start with my biggest issue with it. Enchantress, I think, in theory, could work as a character, because they build her out to be this big magical, evil demon, which could be really like epic. And I think when they build her up, it was a good job. Like, and then when they get the scene where she's in the Pentagon and the hand comes out from underneath and takes over. Like, that's
such an awesome shot.
It's a great
for a superhero
scene.
movie.
Yeah. And so I think that's great. And then when she finally becomes the villain, she just kind of like is very much the elf from Thor 2. Just generic, forgettable, dark, scary villain.
What elf? I forgot that movie.
Yeah, right. But at the same time, sometimes generic villains, I mean, maybe I'm not on the same page with everybody in this, but sometimes generic villains like Ronan from the first Guardians movie. For some reason, he's a generic villain that I remember very well because he's so serious and so stoic that it works, because you have a talking raccoon and you have a guy that's dancing in front of him in the third act and he's still going like, "What are you? Who are you?" And for me, that just works, and so I guess, so in theory, having her be that, I get what that, I think they were trying to literally be that, like give him the stoic evil demon going up against this insanity of Harley Quinn and stuff. But personally, I think that, and this could get into something later, I think, in theory, the movie, why Enchantress is a villain in that movie, is because 10 years ago, like, how Hollywood has their scripts thrown around, I'm guessing that 10 years ago that was meant to be a Teen Titans movie. With Enchantress kind of being like Raven, even though Enchantress is her own character. But I think they're similar enough that she's pretty popular. But I think as time went on, and, now Cyborg's in the Justice League, so it kind of separates that. And then Harley Quinn got amazingly popular. They made this one. So I think that the big villain should definitely be something more real, not as mystical or magical. More grounded,
okay.
Yeah. Somebody like a Deathstroke or something like that. And it's one that, it's not like Batman vs. Superman where I've really sat there and thought, how can I really fix this? So I think if you give him a more grounded villain to go up against, but the thing is you need him somebody big and strong. So what if the villain is, so the reason that Amanda Waller hires them, in my mind, is the same reason she hires him in the regular movie, is the reason she's not bringing in the Justice League, which I never really thought about this until I heard it in a review, is that the reason she doesn't bring the Justice League to take on Enchantress is because all the things that happen are her fault. So she's not going to bring, because Batman's not going to help with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So she kind of wants people to cover her tracks. So what if in this movie, like, what if there's a breakout of a big villain in DC, and what if that villain was Bane? And then you've got somebody more grounded but still strong enough that he could take on an army of people coming after him. And then it could be similar to The Dark Knight Returns, where he kind of has his people running around with him, and which is ironic, wasn't Deadshot kind of in that movie too? Like a nod to him or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I imagine you have somebody like that, a villain like you would know, you get excited to see him, but is a big enough challenge to him, but it's not the whole mystical and magical thing. I just think that contrast didn't really work for me personally.
So in your movie, would you have had Enchantress in it at all?
Probably not.
She's not even.
She was really cool.
Yeah.
But I think she, like I said, she would either work in either a Justice League Dark movie, which could really work if done right. Mm-hmm. That's where I think she would work better. Or if you did like a Teen Titans thing, because you have Raven, who's kind of similar to that. Somewhere in those two movies it would work. But for this one, when they're all, Diablo's magical because he can light on fire. Yeah. But everybody else is
the big swap that you're doing, mainly the only change really is putting Bane in instead of Enchantress. Yeah. So that's the only change you're going to make.
Yep, and then definitely fix the editing. Do it as a more straightforward movie. Maybe the most important thing I would change is take out the Joker scenes. Not that he's not out of the movie, but he's not physically in the movie. But he has an element in the movie. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like how if you remember back to the original Star Wars movies, like like the Emperor isn't in the movie or referenced. Yeah. But you know that there's somebody that's on top of Darth Vader because he talks about it a couple times. Yeah. You're like, oh, who's this guy? He's
I think there might be a scene where he talks to him like on a
something like that. Yeah. So like that's how I imagine Joker being too. Like he's kind of the villain in the shadows we're really waiting for. And then maybe even which could be really cool is you kind of do a bonus scene with the Joker in there instead of the Justice League build-up. Mm-hmm. But the bonus scene instead of where he breaks out Harley, what if the bonus scene is like that getting ready to happen, but it's like from the in the Dark Knight Returns movies where they did the animated ones that you showed me at the end of part 1 where it's showing Joker in the straight jacket.
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
Okay. That's
cool. Because now he sees Batman's back, now he sees Harley's back, and now he's ready to go back out and be the Joker. That could be cool too.
Yeah. Sweet. So for me, my biggest issues were the editing of it. It felt rushed. And this is what I mean by rushed. When you watch this movie, and it seems kind of like not so streamlined either. It kind of sprawls out too. But the movie, think about it. Amanda, we see her getting the pieces for this team, right? Mm-hmm. And then she puts the team together. And then all of a sudden, they're put in the middle of the city because Enchantress has messed everything up. Mm-hmm. And they're all of a sudden going after the big baddie. Yeah. They don't have a time to bond as a team. And like it all kind of happens through that. So we never see them operate really as a team, except for a couple of times they do. But I think what you're talking about, missing out, we never get to bond with them before they start going to try and save the world. Mm. We never get a chance to do that. And it feels very rushed in that. So for my film, I'm kind of with you on the Joker scenes. I think we could kind of have insinuated him or had him in the scenes where she's being created. And then that's where Harley is being created. And then that's it. But where I start, first big change, we start with the Rolling Stones song. Mm-hmm. The very beginning, and I think we have Amanda not walking to go to dinner to have the team introduced, and then going to the Pentagon to have the team introduced again. Yeah. That's just redundant, and it also repeats itself. Yeah. What I would do is I would start with the Sympathy for the Devil song, which I love that opening, Amanda Waller, but then she's walking into the Pentagon to have that meeting where we're introduced to her idea of why there is a need for this Task Force X, which is to be able to have essentially a super Justice League team that she can control. That's what she wants. And so we get the introduction of Enchantress. We get introduced to the people that she's wanting to assemble. And then we start getting introduced to each of these people. Maybe this is when you get that Deadshot scene and the Harley scene at first. They're getting them assembled. And what I would do is I would assemble a team, tell them kind of like, this is what you need to do. This is what happens if you don't follow me.
Yeah.
And their first training exercise is an actual mission.
Yeah.
And so, but Enchantress is part of the team. I have her as part of the team, but she hasn't done the stuff where she goes and gets her brother yet.
Okay.
This is important because this slows everything down for us.
Yeah.
They are sent on a mission to South America because there is a prison that is becoming unruly and has been taken over by this big tycoon, by this big time person, drug lord. And they need to go in, take the person out, and then leave. So they go in and they start doing this. Now, why it's important in South America is twofold. One, Enchantress, at some point during the mission, which they almost fail because all the team members are just doing their own thing. Diablo is not doing anything.
Yeah.
These people are trying to fight on their own. And so this is really important. And so they almost fail, and Enchantress leaves in the middle of the chaos. And when she poofs away and she goes and gets the statue with her brother and hides it, and then rejoins the team for a brief second and then poofs away again to go and start messing everything up back home. So this gives us a little bit of time because then we get the midst of this craziness, this jail scene, where we find out who it's a Easter egg nod where the person they're taking out is your boy, Bane. Bane is in South America, and he has taken over. He's got his venom back, and now they're going to try and fight Bane in this first scene. So that's your first big second act. Like, this is the big midpoint of the movie is second act. They're trying to figure out, they think they know how to operate as a team, but they don't. And then they come back, and in the midst of that scene, you get the Slipknot thing. Slipknot is actually in half the movie. How about that?
Yeah.
Slipknot's in half the movie, and then he dies as his heads explode, if you want to do that. And then when they return is when they see that everything has gone wrong. And so it's because they're like, hey, we did our mission, we're free to go. But now they have to make this choice to work together and then work through everything and go and take down Enchantress.
Yeah.
Is what I would do. And I think what that does is it streamlines the movie a little bit because you've gotten rid of the Joker scenes.
Yeah.
You give us a little bit of time to get to know the team, and then it slows everything down so it's more believable that the entire city goes to crap.
Yeah.
Because while they were in South America, while they were flying back from South America is when all of this stuff takes place.
Yeah.
And wherever Central City or wherever the city is that's taken down. So that's story-wise, that's how I would change that a bit. And I love the Diablo stuff, man. Just the fire and having him. I would find a way to make it more ambiguous at the end so that you could bring him back. I wouldn't have him like die as explicitly as they have him die. And I would have him in that fight along with everybody. But that's and then just streamline the editing. Figure out what movie you want to tell, and then just tell that movie. Give the filmmaker a chance to do what he or she wants to do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things with the last two movies that we've redone is it feels like there's good movies in there if they just let the director make the movie they wanted to make. And it just allow the hands off from the studio to be able to do that. So that's how I would change. I would add Bane towards the beginning, giving them more of a chance to fight as a team. And then working through and try to not be as much like Guardians of the Galaxy. So get your own soundtrack, do what you want to do with that, and roll with it. Thoughts? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think that's a good vision for it. And
thanks, man.
Yeah,
I think means a lot.
Would you keep in kind of when she's telling them about the team? Do you still kind of keep in the flashbacks of?
So I think that's as they're going through the files at the Pentagon. I think you get those scenes.
Yeah,
I don't do the graphics.
Yeah.
With like has a unicorn fetish. That's weird.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
It was kind of funny. But
it was kind of funny, but it just didn't. It felt like they injected humor into a movie that wasn't meant to be humorous. That humorous.
Because like how they felt like they were still editing Justice League like last week or whatever. like that almost seemed like those parts were more they were trying to be Deadpool,
Yeah.
because that came out in like early
Yeah.
that year, so everybody thought the most hilarious part was changing everybody's
Yeah.
names to
Yep, and you
an
can tell
overrated
because
tool or
like
whatever.
the supposedly David Ayer cut a dark and gritty version of the movie, and then a trailer company came in and cut their own version.
yeah.
And that's the version we got.
That's
kind of like an amalgamation of both of those visions, which doesn't work. And that's where a lot of the songs come from. That's where a lot of like the choppy editing came from.
Yeah.
And like machine guns being synced up to song parts.
And that's kind
stuff.
of we were talking about that earlier, because before we started, because the movie Baby Driver did really well this summer. And if you're gonna, I could see, because that trailer was so cool when they did the bump,
and it works for a trailer.
Yeah, and I think maybe it could work, because for Baby Driver it did work, but it wasn't like in your face as much. But like there are things you don't realize, like when the beat's going and it swerves the car. So I mean, maybe if like you had the editing team that did that to try to pull something, maybe that could have worked.
Maybe. And so I can see where and it was really entertaining for Baby Driver. But with Baby Driver, that was Edgar Wright's vision from the start.
And you would have had
to make that movie. And where it's the reason is because he has the headphones in, and so everything he sees is synced up with all of this other stuff. With Suicide Squad, that wasn't what David Ayer wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I can understand it would be entertaining and fun. But then part of me goes, well, if that's not the original vision, then why are we doing it?
Yeah, that's true.
Let the filmmaker do what they're going to do. And I bet we would have had an awesome Dirty Dozen-esque type of film where these are bad guys and we fall in love with them just enough, but then we're reminded at the end that they're terrible people. But they saved the day, so we'll give them a pass. But yeah, so that's those are our versions of Suicide Squad. What would you do differently? Go on ahead, leave a comment, let us know what you would have done differently with Suicide Squad, what you would wish, what villain might you have put in there at the end or in some part of the movie. What's your opinion of the Joker? That's a hot button topic. Yeah. So next week we are going to be talking about Wonder Woman. And we're going to be doing not a redo, but we're going to be doing a double take with that. Was Wonder Woman as good as we thought it was originally? So I don't think we have a clip for that this week, do we? No. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to disappoint everybody.
Yeah. But here's a picture of the box. So yeah, you enjoyed that picture, huh? Because that's kind of just Wonder Woman. So sorry about that. We will be back next week previewing that and giving a little bit of of our own opinions of what we think if that film holds up, and if some other news if it drops, and some other movie news when and if it drops between now and then, and some Justice League opinions I think will go in that next week's podcast as well. So Austin, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at 80james24, and I'm on Facebook under my name.
That's a good name to go under.
Yep.
And for me, at official R Morris on Instagram and Twitter and all the lovely social medias. Make sure you give this page here a follow and a subscribe and a like. Red Turbo Jacket Productions. We are on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube. And
okay, Suicide Squad. So I watched the whole movie 5 times already. Still not that great. But how about that Wonder Woman movie? The second one that I've already seen.
All right, we need to go over some ground rules for superheroing during this. Okay. But if you enjoy what you're seeing, make sure you share it around, tell your friends, and we'll continue doing this. We have one more before Justice League starts, and then we'll broaden our scopes a little bit and talk more about the world of film and some different ideas. So if you have opinions and things you want us to talk about, drop us a line and let us know what you would like to see.
And have a happy Halloween and be safe.
Have a happy Halloween. Yes. Just real quick, and then we'll end. Go to Halloween movie. Go.
My favorite go-to Halloween movie.
Yes.
Twilight Zone Marathon. I know
Twilight
that's
Zone
not
Marathon.
a movie, but it's still my favorite.
That's pretty solid. For me, Nightmare Before Christmas. Grape Company, Charlie Brown. That's great. That's 2. I'll get another one because you got an entire series. Nosferatu. Watch Nosferatu. Great classic movie. Really awesome. And you'll finally understand the SpongeBob reference.
Yep.
Oh, Nosferatu. Okay. So for the Real Good Podcast and Red Turbo Jacket Productions, I'm Raymond Morris.
And I'm not at liberty to tell you my actual identity.
That's Austin James. We'll see you next week.
It's a real good podcast, yeah. Yeah. Woo!